And we're at an Eastern Creek Raceway here in Sydney, Australia, preparing for Super Lap 2010. What I wanted to do is grab the opportunity to show you the importance of getting your car set up with the right tyre pressures, using tyre temperature as a guide to work out if you've got the right tyre pressures in your car. And what we've got is a intercom. This is actually quite a complicated tyre pyro gauge. It records and stores it in memory. You don't have to have one as complicated as that. It can be just a simple one with a simple digital readout. But we've got the car here now, effectively assuming that we've come in off the track. You only want to do 1 or 2 laps depending on the length of the track, because you only want to get the temperature into the tyres as quickly as possible before it soaks throughout the whole tyre. You'll need someone to assist you, because assuming you're the person driving the car, because after all you're the one that wants to have fun. You then get a pyro gauge. Now you must not use an infrared temperature gauge, because the infrared gauge is not accurate enough. You need one with a probe on the end. And then you'll come up, and what we'll do is you always measure the hottest tyre first. So if it's a clockwise track, you do the front left tyre. If it's an anti-clockwise track, you do the front right tyre. And you'll put the probe about 1 inch in from the outside of the tyre like that, count to 5, and then record the temperature. I'm not going to record it now, we can show you later on. And then you do the centre of the tyre, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the inside of the tyre, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what effectively you'll end up with is something similar to this, where you can see the temperature is 87, 83 and 69. Now the 69 was the outside of the tyre, whereas 83 was the inside. That would indicate that the inside of the tyre is working a lot hotter and harder than the outside of the tyre. So depending on whether you've got too much negative camber or the tyre is overinflated because it's wearing on the inside of the tyre, you would then drop your tyre pressures down to even out the wear, to even out the tyre temperature, go back out, do a couple more laps, come back in, and then log the temperatures again. Because in theory, you want to get the tyre temperature across the 3 settings or the recordings within 5 to 10 degrees. You'll never get it exactly the same because of the variations in all sorts of things. But the basic rule is, if you've got one part of the tyre that is extremely hot compared to another part of the tyre that is incredibly cold, obviously you're not wearing the tyre evenly, which means you're not getting the maximum grip, which means you've either got the wrong camber settings or you've got the wrong pressure settings. Once you get the tyre temperatures even, that will indicate to you the correct tyre pressure, and then you no longer have to use this gauge to work out what you should be doing. You use that pressure as a gauge for the day of when you go to the next track event. The only thing you may change is by a couple of degrees for a really hot day or a cold day. Of course, if it's wet, you drop the temperature down a bit more by using pressure drop, maybe 2 or 3 degrees. And on a really, really hot day, you will do the same thing, but for a different reason, because obviously the tyre temperatures are going to go through the roof. On a cold day, the trick is, in some situations, is to actually drop the pressure down a little bit so the tyre moves around a lot more and actually will then heat up quicker. But depending on the type of car you've got, whether it's front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, obviously it will have a varying effect. The other thing that I strongly recommend is that you don't assume that this data is exactly the same for all sorts of different tyres. On this particular car we're using the Yokohama Nova tyres, which is the tyre which is recommended for Super Lap for the Club Sprint category, because we can't use a semi-slick tyre. And of course, being a road track tyre, it's got a very soft sidewall, so the tyre moves around a fair bit. So we actually may have a slightly higher starting pressure than what we would if we were using an R-Series tyre like a Bridgestone RE55 or a Dunlop Dureza. Again, separate to those types of tyres that you choose, you need to understand that when you start at the beginning of the day and when you finish at the end of the day, you're starting with cold tyres and hot tyres. So the most important thing is to take a note of the tyre pressure at the time when you've got the tyre temperature correct, and then remember whether it's a cold temperature or hot temperature. Today at Eastern Creek, a perfect example, we come out here today with 30 6 PSI in the tyres because it was our first event on these tyres. I had no way of knowing what to start with. I assumed it was probably a little bit high, but it's easier to get pressure out than to have to worry about adding it in. I went out, did 2 laps, tyre pressures went to 42 PSI, and I know straight away without even measuring the tyre temperature is way too high. We took 4 PSI out, went back out again, tyre pressures dropped down to about 38. We then the next session, half an hour later, I did 4 laps, which obviously put a lot more load in the tyre. Tyre pressures again went back up to 40 PSI. By that stage, we then decided it was time to get out the tyre pyro, started measuring the tyre temperatures across the tyre, and obviously we know by our data now what we need to aim for, and the results will speak for themselves. So once again, to make it easy for you to understand, once you've got the tyre temperatures even across the tyre, take a note of the tyre pressure. Remember whether that tyre pressure is when the tyre is hot or cold or warm. Keep a record of that and then use that as a guide for the next time you go out to the track, and it'll save you a lot. Tyre pyro gauges, a couple hundred Aussie dollars, will pay for themselves in reducing and saving your tyre wear probably within 3 to 6 months. Highly recommended. So if you don't have one, go out and buy one. So there you go. Hopefully that's helped you out, learn a little bit more about your car. Look forward to having fun with you if you want to come to an MIT track day with us or wherever you are in the world. We're here to help you because we want to have fun in our car and make sure that you have fun in yours. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, of course the MIT Performance website, and follow us with all the more videos that we're constantly adding to the website. I look forward to your comments online so we can help you with more information in the future. I'm Brett Middleton. Thanks for watching.